Recording going? Yes. Namaste and welcome everyone for today's webinar on Vedic rituals, preserving sacred practices. I think many of you are here because you're curious about the deeper meaning behind Hindu rituals. Many of us explore these ancient practices, but are not sure about how they bring clarity, peace, purpose in our modern lives. So in this webinar, we're going to introduce you to the Vedic ritual from Sree Aswathji by Sree Aswathji, and we're going to discover the essence of rituals. We're going to explore the Vedic way of life. We're going to experience the power of practice. We're going to look into practical tools for daily life. We're going to figure out how to measure your spiritual practice. So we have many like-minded folks in this webinar today. We're going to clarify some misconceptions. And this is a great webinar to begin your journey toward a more meaningful and spiritually enriched life. If you haven't yet put in the chat, please let us know where you're zooming in from, and I can give you a shout out. But now let me give our faculty, our guest, our speaker for the day, Sree Aswathji. In introduction, he is a retired systems analyst from the Franklin County Board of Developmental Disabilities in Columbus, Ohio. He holds an extensive academic background spanning physics, mathematics, law, and computer science. But beyond his professional career, Sree Aswathji is a deeply respected Vedic scholar with formal training in Sanskrit and the Vedas. His early Sanskrit education began under the guidance of his grandfather, Sri M.S. Shastri, a renowned Vidwan of the Mysore court. He furthered his Vedic studies with 9 years of rigorous training in the Yajurveda under Professor Ananta Krishna, a distinguished acharya from Bangalore Sanskrit College. But since 1995, almost 30 years now, right? Sree Aswathji has been dedicated to teaching the Vedas and Vedanta to students across the United States. He conducts weekly classes in Sanskrit, Indian scriptures, and philosophy for various groups while he was in Columbus, Ohio. Now he is in Florida, where he is continuing this work. So, in addition to his local teaching, he has led numerous workshops and seminars on Indian scriptures in the US, Canada, Mexico, India. His talks cover a wide range of spiritual texts, including the Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, the major Upanishads, and traditional Vedic chanting. Sree Aswathji's teachings are cherished for their depth, their clarity, and authenticity, making them just amazing and a sought after. He is a sought after speaker and guide in the field of Indian spiritual knowledge. So with that, let me hand it to Sree Aswathji to get us started and uh, about the Vedic ritual and its meanings for us all. Sree Aswathji, let me hand it to you.
Namaste. Thank you. That was a very generous introduction. Thank you very much, Ankurji. Thank you all dear friends who are assembled here. Let me start with a Shanti mantra. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhetamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much for kindly having me this evening. At the outset, I wish all of you a very happy New Year, the Vedic New Year, which started about 9 days ago. And the present year is called Vishwavasu year. The Samvatsara is the Sanskrit term for year, Vishwavasu Samvatsara. And it also happens to be yesterday, the Sri Ramanavami, the birth anniversary of the great hero of Ramayana and our very cherished deity, Sri Ramachandra, his birthday, and greetings to all of you. So to provide a little context, we have given a title for this in English, the Introduction to Vedic Ritual. However, the terminology of this course in the Veda itself is the Vaidika Dharma Karma. So we have had so far quite a few of this course, and there seems to be a growing interest for taking this course. We have had so far about 5 sessions of the Introduction to Vedic Ritual. Over 120 people have taken this course so far. And also many of the students who took the Vedic Ritual course also joined our another course that I have offered, which is the Vedic Chanting course. Close to another 122 people have so far joined, which means that over 200 families who have taken this course are actually performing, chanting, and then participating in various Vedic rituals. And that's very, very encouraging, and that's very uplifting to think about it. So we are going to have 11 sessions. It's starting on April 15th. It is going to be every Tuesday from 9 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we're going to have 11 sessions. In the 11 sessions, we are going to cover the basics of the Vedic ritual. So a couple of introductory remarks about the ritual. Our Upanishads say how to get not only the spiritual enlightenment, but also the peace of mind. Handling difficulties called dukkha, in Sanskrit is dukkha. The most important beginning point is yajnena, danena, tapasa, anashakena. So 4 concepts are introduced. First is yajna. Yajna is popularly thought of as using a sacred fire, agni, and offering oblations, but actually yajna comes from the root yaj, to worship. So to worship, we start with worship, yajnena. Then by sharing our resources with others, danena. By contemplation and meditation, tapasa. And then finally, anashakena. Anashakena means it is having control on our sense organs. So these are the 4 steps that have been prescribed for overcoming dukkha, or for overcoming hardships in life. So the texts that are used are the Vedas. We are going to get introduced to the Vedas and the content in the course of our study. It comes from the root vid jnane, that means to know. And this jnana is going to employ our body, mind, intellect in an integrated manner and in a ritual. And in this ritual, a person will experience the uplifting of the soul, uplifting of the heart, the calming of the mind, and a sense of harmony and peace with oneself and with the environment. And that is the ultimate goal of ritual. So if anybody has any questions before I keep talking, and then could make it like a little bit of a conversation too. So the approach for overcoming dukkha is to understand that all that we are doing all the time is for the sake of comfort and peace of mind. There is a beautiful episode in the scripture Bhagavata. In Bhagavata, the situation is like this. The Mahabharata war is about to start. Then Vidura, as most of you know, is the brother of Dhritarashtra. And Vidura also is the prime minister of the country. But unfortunately, Dhritarashtra's son Duryodhana insults Vidura, and the king, Dhritarashtra, does not step in and correct his son. So this was going on for a long time. At one point of time, at the eve of the war, Duryodhana actually calls Vidura as a dog, and that was a very cruel thing to say to the prime minister, to his own uncle. So immediately Vidura abandons the court, sheds away all his prime ministerial clothes and weapons and all that, and wears ordinary clothes and goes on a pilgrimage, a Tirthayatra. He comes to the banks of Saraswati and meets a sage by name Maitreya, and he asks him, "Sir, I have got a question for you. Sukhaya karmani karoti loke." Everybody is so intensely working for the sake of sukha, but natai sukham va uparamam va. But they are not really having any comfort, nor are they having peace of mind. So what is it? Where is it we have gone wrong? What is it we have not done right? So at that point of time, the instruction continues. You have to start completely changing our outlook of life. And the changing outlook of life is where you start worshipping. You have to acknowledge that there is Ishvara, there is God, and you have to worship. And therefore, you have got two ways of worshipping. One is called the path of action, and another is called the path of knowledge. So the ritual focuses on action, on karma marga, and incidentally, we also acquire knowledge of this self. So the entire study of Introduction to Vedic Ritual is first of all to align our body and mind. So here is going to be the structure in the 1.5 hour engagement that we will have every week. The first one is we will have an introductory session. In this introductory session, we will look at what is the purpose, why we should even do a Vedic ritual. And Vedic rituals were designed thousands of years ago. Are they still relevant today? We will examine, is there any relevance to that? And the third one is I have to ask, what is the outcome we can expect? How to measure the outcome, as Ankurji just now mentioned. So we will talk about 4 important concepts in the first class called the Anubandha Chatushtaya. That is, how do we start something? And then who is competent, or how to make myself competent, number 2. And then the subject matter and the relationship of subject matter to the practitioner, Sambandha, Vishaya. And then we will also see what is the outcome. And that we will introduce in the first class. And in the second class, we will start looking at what is a typical day of a person who observes the ritual. How do we, as soon as we wake up, what do we do? And then how do we purify ourselves? What mantras and method we will use to take a shower, to take bath? Then how do we worship? And then how do we eat? All of those things we will talk about it. And then we will talk about the daily offerings of oblations to the sun in the ritual called Sandhya Vandana. We will also talk about initiation, Upanayana. We will talk about the 3 and at least 2 morning and evening oblations. Then we will also talk about puja. How do we do worship? This becomes a very important part of the syllabus, because now if you want to do any puja during the day, whether it is Sri Ramanavami, when you want to worship Rama, or when you later on when you worship Ganapati, Krishna, Devi, Shiva, in all those things, you don't have to depend on uh, going to the temple, looking for a priest. Um, you will be empowered to do all these rituals yourself. And then we will also see how to do a simple havan or a yajna. And then we will also see how you can discharge 5 of the debts that we have. It is called as 5 kinds of runa. We owe to the gods for having created this universe. It is called Deva Yajna. And then we have got to remember and worship our forefathers. It's called Pitru Yajna. We have to commit ourselves to spiritual studies called Brahma Yajna. And we will also do how to serve our fellow beings. It's called Manushya Yajna. And how we should take care of the environment, which is called Bhuta Yajna. So these all will be covered in the course. So if any of you have taken any of these courses, Introduction to Vedic Ritual, please share your thoughts. And if you have any questions also, please let us have a discussion instead of my monologue.
Okay, so let's open it up to questions. Please put in the Q&A box your questions about any Vedic rituals, this course, the context of it. I put details of the course in the chat. It's going to start on Tuesdays. It's going to start April 15th. It's going to be on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's going to go until about 10:30 p.m. every Tuesday night. It's going to start April 15th. So please let us have your questions. And Sree Aswathji, let me just ask you, and actually the audience, if there's anybody who's taken a course of Sree Aswathji before, please raise your hand if you'd like to give a testimonial, if you'd like to make a comment. Love to bring you on. But as you were saying, you've taught this course so many times. You've learned so much. You've developed other courses. The response has been, just go through the course a little bit. You talked about some of what you're going to be doing, but what have people gotten out of it? Why should people take the course? And then it's not too much homework. It's not so difficult to follow along. You're going to be on our learning management system. You'll be able to log in every week and get the readings, get the videos, get all the assignments and whatever else is necessary for each week of the course. So that's some background. But Sree Aswathji, if you want to uh, get into those details.
One of the most important thing about this course, unlike say for example, another course which I offered, which is Introduction to Vedic Chanting, uh, here on day 1, you will be able to start actually practicing these rituals at home. And I have had feedback, as I mentioned to you, over 120 people have so far taken this course. I have had feedback from a number of people how every single day they are actually performing these rituals. They are doing the Sandhyavandana, the repetition of Gayatri mantra called the Gayatri Japa. They are able to do a puja on their own every day. And then they have experienced much more calm, peaceful existence, and also harmony with others in their home and others. So there are tangible and intangible benefits. One of the questions that I always get in my class is I speak about choosing a personal god, a Ishta Devata. So one of the questions I always get is, I don't have any particular Ishta Devata, How do I choose? So this course also helps you to determine how you can choose a Ishta Devata with whom you can actually have a connection. In this context, I'm reminded of a beautiful, it's not actually a legend, it is historic. In around 11th, 12th century, there was a king in Kerala in South India. His name was Kulashekara. This Kulashekara actually came from a heritage of worshippers of Shiva. So in their family, they always worshipped Shiva. They went to the temples in Shiva. But then somehow his mind was drawn to the beautiful baby Krishna. So however much he struggled to relate to the family deity Shiva, his mind was constantly drawn towards Krishna. So he confesses in a beautiful text. He confesses, "Shaiva vayam nakalu tatra vicharaniyam." Yes, we are Shaiva. We have to worship Shiva. There is no argument about it. Panchakshari Japaparam Nitaram Tatapi. We have to chant the Om Namah Shivaya, the 5-letter worship to Shiva. There's no doubt about it. But Cheto Madiyam, but look at my mind. It is always drawn towards that tender little baby, Atasi Kusamavabhasam, who is so tender like the petals of a flower called Atasi. Smerananam, who has got a beautiful smile. Kimapi Gopavadhu Kishoram, that child of Gopika Sri. My mind is drawn. So sometimes, at least for Kulashekara, at least for this author, there was some indication of whom and what, where his heart is. But what about somebody who has absolutely no idea of who the Devata is, to whom my mind turns? In this course, we will also look at 5 important deities. The 5 deities chosen, which are related to the 5 elements. Adityam, Ambikam, Vishnum, Gananatham, Maheshwaram. We relate to Surya, Adityam, and Ambikam, any form of Devi, Vishnum, Vishnu, and any form of Vishnu, Ganapati, Gananatham, Maheshwaram, Shiva. And each one of them represent one element. Vishnu represents space, Akashasya Vishnu. This fire is represented by Devi, Agnesha Maheshwari. Then Surya is representing the wind, Vayu. And then Ganapati is representing water. And Shiva is representing the earth. So we always relate to the 5 elements, and there are corresponding 5 deities. That will be a starting point. So we will introduce some idea about the deities also. So again, coming back to your observation, Ankurji, there are so many of the students who have taken this course are actually performing the ritual at their home. And many of them have come back and taken our course of Introduction to Vedic Chanting. In the Introduction to Vedic Chanting that we offered, a number of hymns were taught. Then we introduced the chanting of the Rudra, the worship of Shiva, called Namaka Prashna. Then we offered another course called Chamaka Prashna, which is also a worship of Shiva. And there are students who have taken all of these courses: Introduction to Vedic Chanting, Introduction to Vedic Ritual, Namaka Prashna, and Chamaka Prashna. So if any in our audience have taken any one or more of the courses, Ankurji, I'm sure the others who are in this assembly would love to hear about it.
Great. Yeah, so if you have taken a course, if you'd like to make a comment, I see Amit Sharmaji. I'll give you a chance to unmute and we'll get you on here. Arun Kiri, kind of just following up on your whole line of thing is, will we actually perform the rituals? So it sounds like a yes, and you're going to guide people through performing them. And then you can elaborate on how that plays out. And then Arun Narayanan is asking, will this focus on Samhita and Brahmana portions of the Veda?
So yes, number one, you will be actually performing the ritual at home. And also, we will see if it is possible to have a retreat in Orlando at a convenient time, so that we can have a weekend retreat where all of us can join together and actually perform all these rituals that are introduced in the course. Say, for example, from morning till evening, we will discuss both the theory of the various Vedic rituals and also actually perform the Vedic rituals, so that not only you are learning performing these rituals remotely, but hopefully HUA will be able to host a retreat where you can all come in person. So that is a two-part answer for your question about whether we will be performing, you will be performing ritual. Yes, you will be performing ritual from day one. That is from the very first class, we will introduce ritual, so you can start practicing. And what we introduce in every class, you can actually keep adding to that in your daily ritual. And again, the course is so designed that it will not be very invasive. It is not like that you have to dedicate 1 hour, 2 hours every day to do this ritual. You can complete all these things in about 10 minutes in the morning and about 10 minutes in the evening. And then you can expand it depending on how much time you can spend in terms of japa or repetition of the mantra. So that's the answer to whether you will be doing the rituals. Then the second question, whether we will be taking samhitas and brahmanas. The various mantras introduced in the ritual are a combination of both samhita, brahmana, Upanishad, and the Puranas also, because many of the Puranas have the Ashtottaras or the 108 names. Then we also have a lot of stotras or hymns by later poets. So it will be a whole range of things. But actually Samhita only, and not Brahmana, exclusively Samhita, is covered in our introduction to Vedic chanting course. So it's a separate course. It's just focusing only on the mantras is in a different course, which is Vedic chanting course. I hope that answers the question.
Wonderful. Thank you, Arunji, for asking and being one of our best students. Amit Sharmaji, you are able to unmute and please share your thoughts.
Namaste. This is Bhanu Sharma. Actually, my husband Amit has enrolled for the webinar, but I have done this course previously with Aswathji. I actually got introduced to HUA through this course when Aswathji started it many years ago, and I have taken all the courses that he has offered so far, and it has been such a wonderful experience and amazing learning for me. And I would strongly encourage anyone who is able to join this course. In fact, I'm encouraging both my children to join this course as well. Thank you, Ashwathji. Thank you, Ankurji.
Thank you, Banaji.
Thank you, Banaji. Awesome. Other questions, please put them in the Q&A box. Joshi is saying, sounds amazing. Where can we find more info, a link perhaps? Will this course be offered again later in the year? Yes, let me put the details in the chat right here one more time. And you can click right there. We've offered it several times, but as Sree Aswathji said, we want to build and grow. We want to offer retreats. He's got other courses that he's offering, but I'm pretty sure I'll let Sree Aswathji answer when he's planning to offer this again. But right now is the time to enroll. It's going to be start April 15th. It's going to be on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's recorded. So if you miss a course, you can catch the recording after, but you want to be on it live. So if that Tuesday evening slot works for you, please do consider. So I dropped it in the chat. It's going to be $200. I can drop some info about scholarships as well if people would be interested in that.
Yes, when the introduction to Vedic ritual will be repeated is still, it's a logistical question we'll have to figure out. But as you mentioned, Ankurji, right now it's going to start on April 15th, because there is also a thinking of offering a course on Sanskrit literature, which also comprises a lot of information about ritual, about the Vedas. So that is also under consideration. And then we also have under consideration focused study of one Devata at a time. And we just concluded a retreat in Orlando on experiencing Shiva. Actually, Bhanuji was there in person. She came all the way from Bangalore, India to be in that retreat. So we will have retreats. Fortunately, I live in Orlando, and therefore it is very convenient for me. So we will have retreats for introduction to Vedic ritual. We will also have a retreat for Vedic chanting. So that is something that we will have to schedule. And any of you who are interested, please drop a note in the chat box so Ankurji can keep a track of your requests, and HUA will get back to you when they are scheduled.
Yeah. Arunji, I'm just looking at the current enrollments. Maybe, changing the date of the course is, the day of the course is always a logistical question. I don't know if Sree Aswathji is set on this, but it looks like so far I'm trying to find it right now. We have, wow, already 18 registrations for this time. So I don't think we'll be able to shift it this quarter. Nice to know that there are already 18 people enrolled in this course. Don't miss out. This is one of our most popular courses. Hopefully it fits your schedule. If not, we'll try to offer it at a different time of day. Joshi's
Ankurji,
asking.
a couple of times we have also made some exceptions. For example, those who have job pressures or those who are traveling, for them on a one-to-one basis, we also have permitted people to join the course and then listen and watch the video afterwards, and then we can consider granting attendance, even though they cannot really attend the course in person every week. So that is something on a one-to-one, case-by-case basis, the HUA can consider excusing from physical attendance, but then allowing them to submit their. But that's more an exception than a rule. That's all.
Yeah, fully understand. I have launched the webinar attendance poll. I'm sharing the results. We have a few first-timers, quite a few regulars, and people who've attended before. 7 people have taken an HOA course before. 2 are enrolled in programs. 12 of you considering taking a course. Awesome. Please do consider enrolling this quarter for HUA and in this course in particular. And for the 7 of you not interested in courses, we welcome you on our webinars to engage and participate in whatever way suits you best. Let me launch another poll. Just let us know if you are interested in this course. Can I share? How do I do that? 1 second, stop sharing that. And yeah, just let us know if you'd be interested in enrolling in the course. There it is up there for you to fill out. Maybe minimize, maximize. It just helps us follow up. So there you go. Yeah, okay. Let's take on some other questions. I don't have anybody in the Q&A box. Now is your time to share any questions you may have on Vedic rituals, your own aspects. You know, one of the things that comes up, and Sree Aswathji, maybe this is the pivot. We do rituals in so many aspects of our lives, right? Weddings, deaths, birthdays, other ceremonies, other meaningful samskaras, right? When you hit those points in life. So if you want to talk about just how this does apply in so many ways and how you get into all these different kinds of rituals that people are interested in, especially if people in the course are interested, you generally facilitate and take some time to explain a particular ritual or what could be the ritual to do for a particular situation.
Yes, we do. They're called as samskaras. So we, as part of the course, we will discuss samskaras also, the role of samskaras. Let's go and look at a little broader picture. Suppose the very purpose that all of us are here is what can we do to preserve Sanatana Dharma? In Hinduism is called, actually the correct name for that is Sanatana Dharma, the eternal principle, eternal religion. So let us say, suppose this entire Sanatana Dharma, let's map it onto a human body, because it's an organic, functioning lifestyle. So a human body, Upanishad, though it is very obvious, it points out saying a human form is something that has got legs, that has got hands, which has a heart and a intellect. All of them functioning together in harmony. So suppose we take this metaphor. The rituals that we are talking about are actually the feet. Because without feet, there is no movement. We know that very well. So if dharma has to move, if dharma has to be transmitted laterally to our fellow beings, to your family, spouses, brothers, sisters, or it has to be passed on to the next generation, your children, there has to be a movement. There has to be the feet that takes you from here to there. Ritual is mapped on to the feet. Then anyone who diligently and understanding the principle behind it performs ritual automatically becomes an ethical person. This has been proved from time immemorial. So the ethics and morality is mapped onto the hands of this person called Sanatana Dharma. Then this evokes a devotion in our heart. Rituals start getting more meaningful. A Shiva is not just a deity, but one who brings auspiciousness. A Vishnu is not just a Devata, it is one who brings stability in our life. A Saraswati is not one anthropomorphic figure, but the embodiment of knowledge, and therefore you get devotion. Then that leads us to the contemplation of the self, the head. And so as part of our studies, not just only rituals, but Vedic chanting, we'll also look at some of the Upanishad mantras and chant them. So that way, the person called Sanatana Dharma actually is the one who starts practicing the ritual, who actually develops ethical life, a moral life, and who has devotion in his heart, and who has contemplation and tapas in his head. And this introduction to ritual opens the door for all those possibilities. And it enriches our life. And it also answers the question, what is the ultimate purpose of my life? Okay, I earned some money, I got some family, so all that is done. And then now, what next? As Adi Shankara says, tata kim, tata kim, tata kim. So that question is answered as we move through the ritual. So then another thing is, when we talk about philosophy, Vedanta, Upanishad, temples, public rituals and all that, is not as personal as the performance of Vedic ritual itself. Here, you are doing this ritual. You are not giving up your own role to a priest, for example. A priest is important for much more complicated rituals. Suppose you want to have a wedding, then it is advisable to have a priest. If you want to have a Upanan Samskara, advisable to have a priest. But if you want to do spiritual practice, we cannot delegate it to somebody else. So this course empowers you actually to lead a spiritual life. So it becomes also a good habit. It's called Nitya Karma. In Nitya Karma, it also gives us a clear understanding of my ability, my capacity. I will discover where I am bent towards. Is it more towards learning? Then you are a Brahmana. Is it more towards actually working for the stability in society? You become a Kshatriya. Is it more to make sure that our fellow beings are all comfortable? You are a Vaishya. You serve your fellow beings. You are a Shudra. So we'll come to realize that this Varna system is not boxing a person, but a single individual can actually choose to be of a particular Varna responding to demanding circumstances. All this opens up with ritual. Say, for example, you are going on a pilgrimage. When you go to a pilgrimage, let's go, say you go to Rameshwara, you go to Kashi, you can sit on the banks of the river Ganga, you can sit on the ocean at Rameshwara, and you can make a linga from the sand. And then you can just worship Shiva just as Sri Rama worshipped Shiva before in Rameshwara. So that is the empowerment that this can do. And another thing is, how do we visualize our faith? So your visualization of Shraddha, or the visualization of faith, is possible only when we perform the actual ritual. So, for example, we had the retreat on Shiva. When we had the retreat on Shiva, we had about 25 attendees for that. So we did the homa, the havan for Shiva. And then this is in the beautiful settings in the Pine Lake retreat in Orlando, where our campus is there, HUA campus is there. Every one of them joined together in setting up the altar. Bricks were laid down by a couple of people. Then the rangoli was put by a couple of people. The various ingredients were brought in procession from the inside of the building. So similarly for Abhisheka, the entire altar was set up by all the 20 people, and all of them sat together and chanted the mantra. At individual level, this course has helped in performing yourself, and in a congregational level, you will also participate with everybody. And this again, since Bhanuji is there, she can share with you her experience of the retreat on Shiva. If you could, Bhanuji.
Namaste. It was such a wonderful experience. I think for me, like I had mentioned to Aswathji, I had done both the Namaka Prashna and Chamaka Prashna, which had concluded just the week before the retreat. So for me, it was a logical continuation of what I had learned online, learning to chant, and actually being part of performing the whole ritual. So that was, I think, an amazing experience for me. And as he said, the retreat itself, the location is really, really serene, very beautiful. And I think there is a different energy when you do it as a group, but also learning to do these rituals by yourself gives a kind of confidence to get started, in by yourself and doing it in the comfort of your home, which is where I started with this class when Ashwaji started teaching this class. I think it is a great continuation, and the retreat was, it's hard. I think no amount of words can explain the whole experience. It is truly experiencing Shiva with the whole group, as an individual, with your guru, and definitely an amazing chance for people to participate and learn. Thank you.
Great.
We will expand this because in the introduction to Vedic ritual, we'll also introduce, as I mentioned earlier, the 5 devatas. So in due course, you may have a question, okay, what next? All right, I will perform these rituals at home. But you can further your studies, you can expand your learning. Because I always say in all my classes, here and elsewhere, that you learn to teach. And that is the best way we can serve Sanatana Dharma. So you learn to do all these rituals, to do Sandhyavandana, to do Surya Namaskara, to do Puja, to do Abhisheka. And then you teach that to your spouse. You teach that to your children. You teach that to anybody whom you come across. So that way, they will see you performing, and then you will be able to touch so many other lives. And there is nothing as powerful as performing ritual yourself. We can study all the philosophy. In fact, I had an elderly guru who was a professor of philosophy in the university. He would talk about the Western philosophy, about Eastern philosophy, and then he would also say, oh, there is a limitation about ritual. A person should not be stuck in ritualism. That he speaks like that for a class. But then he comes home, changes his clothing into formal clothing, and then he will sit in his puja room. He will sit facing east, and then he will do a puja. So in one of our conversations, I asked him, sir, how is it you taught like this in the college and now you're doing it here? He said, that's an intellectual activity. It has no heart in it. Whereas here, it is a spiritual, emotional activity, and I don't need the intellect here. I thought that was a very profound way of expressing about actually doing the puja, suspending disbelief, and our firm belief that by my doing this, I am getting the grace of Ishvara. That has to be experienced by yourself, but you should know how to do it. So how to do it is the gap that this course will fill.
Wow, the heart of it. I love it. Very nice example. And kind of 2 questions. Joshiji is asking, how do we measure our readiness towards spirituality? And then Arun Kiri, this is not exactly the same, but he's asking, how are students graded in the course? So those, like, is there a parallel? How does spirituality and the course development go?
Exactly. There is a in our scriptures, there is a standard of measurement. So the standard of measurement is first and foremost, what is the quality of our desires? We'll take the word kama of Sanskrit. So first and foremost, our desires can be purely selfish. And then sometimes our desires can be harmful to others. And there are sometimes we have altruistic desires, which Technically in Sanskrit, we will say Ashuddha Kama, then Sakama Kama, and Shuddha Kama. So you can give a weightage. You can actually use statistics and give a weightage. How much of my daily activity is selfish in nature? How much of daily activity is altruistic in nature? And how much of my activity has actually resulted in some discomfort to somebody else? And now you start measuring your spirituality by balancing these three. Increase Shuddha Kama, limit Sakama Kama, and completely avoid Ashuddha Kama. We can start with Kama. Then the next one we will take is anger, Krodha. The reason why I'm singling out these two is because of Arjuna's question in the Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, I asked the question, Atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha. Hey Krishna, tell me, who is instigating a person to do evil? For that, Bhagavan answers, Kama esha krodha esha. It is desire and it is anger. So we dealt with the metrics of desire. Let's measure the metric of anger. What ritual does is, during the performance of ritual, let us say you are doing japa, let us say you are doing puja, let us say you are chanting a prayer. At that point of time, where is anger, where is kama, where is krodha? Whether it is for 1 minute or 5 minutes, to that extent you don't have kama krodha. So this krodha or anger, we can also measure it. Very empirically, we can measure it. How you can start tracking what is the duration of my anger. How long do I remain angry? Then how frequently do I get angry? And then what is the after effects of getting anger? And how quickly I recover from it? So we can actually have a spreadsheet for this. And then every time I get anger, I get angry, I can actually withdraw and say a prayer or do a japa learned in the Introduction to Vedic Ritual course. So we have a beautiful saying in Sanskrit, Uttame kshanakopasya. For a highly evolved person, in 1 minute, he will recover from anger. Before any damage can be done, he is back to normal. Madhyame ghatikadvayam. For an intermediate person, it will last for about 2 ghatikas. According to Jyotisha, it is 48 minutes per ghatika. So 96 minutes, you will be fine. So you get really angry, go for a walk. By the time you come back, you're completely calm. Adame syad ahoratri. Otherwise, it will last for a day and a night. Ritualistically, practice silence, mauna. Papishte maranantakam. Otherwise, it will last till as long as we are alive. So you have a metric there. Second question, Arunji's question was, how are you evaluated in the course? Since this is actually an evolving practice, what I mean by evolving is you practice puja, you practice sandhyavandana, you practice prayers. It takes time for our personality to be modified. So the simple way of measurement within the 11 weeks is whatever mantras, whatever procedure is taught, have you known that? Can you do it? That's all. Because more emotional and philosophical changes, you have to measure yourself. I hope both questions are answered.
Yeah, thank you for that. An anonymous attendee is asking, what is the difference between Vedic rituals and worldly rituals?
The Vedic rituals are theocentric. That means you have a particular devata as the object of worship. Then the secular is always driven either by money or our desire. Artha kama driven is worldly. Dharma moksha driven is Vedic. It's a simplistic answer, but it is it can be expanded.
Great. Arunji is asking or saying that he has read we need adhikaratvam to perform these rituals. Can you talk about that? Its aspect.
Yes. Adhikaratvam is where someone has to initiate you to perform the ritual. And this question has come up in this course earlier also. So we will actually do, even though it is remotely, we will do the empowerment. The adhikaratvam will be given by chanting the appropriate mantras. And that is also an opportunity for us to assemble in a retreat. So in that retreat, we can actually perform a Upanayana Samskara for all the attendees. And on that note, I would like to clarify that in a very traditional practice, the Upanayana Samskara is being done only for a select few. But according to our Veda, going back to the Veda, everybody who desires to learn can be initiated through the Upanayana Samskara. But that Samskara we will do as part of the course remotely. And when we have the retreat in person, we will also do it physically.
Wonderful. Okay. Okay, Santoshi in the chat is asking, are the rituals different for Rig Vedis and Krishna Yajurvedis versus Shukla Yajurvedis versus Samavedis? And Atharva Vedis have their own rituals. So maybe you want to...
There are some finer nuances are there, but the course will design something that can be used by all the adherents of all the Vedas. Because Sandhya Vandana, Gayatri Mantra is common, whichever is the Veda one is following.
Great. Okay, I think we're coming near the end of the webinar. Everyone has had a chance to ask their questions. If not, now is your last chance. Let me, if you haven't filled out the poll, take a quick second, find it. Let us know if you're interested in the course, and I can share that just quickly. All right, please let us know. Here we go. Let me share the results of that. Got a few people definitely interested, quite a few maybes. We'll do some follow-up and engage you that way. And yeah, all right. So that is Sanjayji. I don't know where you sent the question, but I don't think it went into the Q&A box, so I might have gotten missed. Sorry about that. If you want to re-ask it. Oh, yeah, okay. He's asking in the chat, given the limited ability and time, I find myself in conflict with what to give preference. Matra Japa of the lineage, I'm Dikshit in. 2, many rituals and pujas which I do to gods and goddesses like Durga, Spatashati, Hanuman, Chalisa, other recitations ending with artis. Or 3, meditation and pranayams. That's a good question. So how do you prioritize, and what is the right thing for people to do?
Sure. What we will do is we will do the simple generic rituals, which can be extrapolated to all of the above. For example, whatever you do, you have to take a shower. That's common. So what mantras and what japa you can do before taking a shower. And then you will always do Sandhya, you will always do Gayatri Japa, no matter which particular ritual you are going to perform. So that will be part of this course. And then a puja, a generic puja, the minimum, no matter what deity you worship, you have to do Ganapati puja. So that you will know. So therefore, given the just 11 meetings, and given the title introduction, it is not making you an expert. It is an introduction. As an introduction, the minimum required to do anything more than that will be important in the classes. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, and I think that was the kind of answer Sanjay Ji was looking for, and hopefully Sanjay Ji, you'll be able to enroll in the course because you have limited time and ability. People think you don't have the capacity to take a course, but as Sree Aswathji just kind of elaborated, taking the course will allow you to be more impactful and be more efficient and apply yourself in a more effective way. So Sanjay Ji, hopefully we'll have you in this course. Dipanshu Ji is asking, what is the importance of appropriation in Vedic rituals? Appropriation. So maybe attributing the right sources, using the right things. I'm not sure what you mean by appropriation, Dipanshuji, because oftentimes appropriation means one entity or group using something without giving credit. So Sree Aswathji, if you want to.
Oh, are you talking about the use of the mantras or?
So Dipanshuji, please give a clarification on what you mean the importance of appropriation in Vedic rituals. We have one more question from an anonymous attendee for students in college and young professionals. Would you be able to offer advice as to how to incorporate these practices with a busy daily routine?
Yes. For example, as part of the course, we are also having the Sankshipta Puja Vidhi, which takes only 1 minute. Then we also have as a part the Sankshipta Homa Vidhi, which takes 1 minute. Then with a very simple, without elaborate setup, there are procedures approved and part of our Shastras, the Sankshipta Puja Vidhi, where you don't need anything other than your fingers and your own body. So that is another thing we will introduce in the course. That is, as I mentioned in the very beginning, it will not be too invasive. In 5 to 10 minutes in the morning and 5 to 10 minutes in the evening, about 20 minutes of your day out of 24 hours is all that you will need for starting off. And the appropriation, I did not understand the import of that
and
question.
Dipanshuji added Viniyog.
Oh, Viniyoga. So in Viniyoga, we will use the generic mantras for Viniyoga, which will apply to whatever Veda one belongs to. For example, Avahayami, I invoke the Devata. So when I invoke the Devata, it can be used in no matter which mantra, which Veda it belongs to. And then when Visarjana comes, or when you actually offer water. So many of the Purana shlokas are there, and those Purana shlokas also we will include, and handouts will be there. There will be a manual both for puja as well as for homa with the Viniyogas. Yeah.
Great. All right. Thank you, Dipanshuji, for clarifying, and hope that was good. And thank you, everyone, for joining today's webinar. It's always my pleasure to host, and especially with Sree Aswathji, Dilipji from Maryland, Santoshji from Mysore, just going back, Amitji from Bangalore. Glad to have all of you with us today, and everyone who asked questions, engaged. Please consider enrolling in the course. Join this yatra with us at Hindu University of America. Join this course with Sree Aswathji. You will not be disappointed. Again, Dhanyawad, thank you. Sree Aswathji, let me hand it to you for closing thoughts if you want to end on a mantra. Or...
Thank you very much. It has been so wonderful. You are a very graceful host. And thanks for all our audience who have actually commented, responded, asked questions, which will help me also in tailoring our course to satisfy your expectations, because we want you to have an experience. We want you to actually enjoy performing the ritual. And then we want you to be excited and share it and inspire others to do the ritual along with you. And so that is the whole goal of this course. And thank you. I look forward to see all of you in the classes. And I'll conclude with a Shanti mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you very much, Ankuji. Thank you all in the audience. Thank you. Banuji, thank you very much for your feedback.